What's up guys, Matt back again with another unboxing video, and today we're going to be reviewing the new Solid Edge Works Frieza. Before we dive into the video, please remember to subscribe and hit the bell, like the video, comment your thoughts down below for us to discuss, follow me on my socials, and consider becoming a YouTube member to enter into our monthly giveaways and Discord server so our community can help you on your Dragon Ball figure collecting journey. This figure is based on Frieza from the Dragon Ball series. The figure doesn't seem based on anything in particular, but his design does seem inspired by the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. This is a Solid Edge Works figure, which are Banpresto crane figures made in museum-styled poses. If you're interested in picking this figure up, check the affiliate links down in the description below to help support me and pick them up for yourself. This figure was released on January 11th, 2024 in Japan. Frieza stands at about 6.5 inches tall, weighs 11.5 ounces in box, 4.8 ounces on his own, and the figure comes whole. Okie dokie then. Solid Edge Works. I think a lot of people would argue that Solid Edge Works is the best crane figure series that's currently ongoing for Dragon Ball right now. I think that's a fair argument. However, personally, I don't think they truly are. I think a lot of these crane and prize figures are kind of the same and pretty inconsistent all around, but you know, that's maybe a conversation for another day. Let's talk about their latest release, which is Frieza. I believe this is their second non-Saiyan character. Last year, we got Piccolo as our first non-Saiyan character. I haven't reviewed that one yet, but please expect that I will be reviewing that soon. I'm trying to review every single Dragon Ball figure under Bandai's umbrella, so that will be coming eventually. But Frieza is my favorite villain in all of Dragon Ball, so of course I am somewhat biased by their choice in including him in Solid Edge Works. However, it is final form Frieza, and I've said in past videos that while that is cool, we do get a lot of final form Frieza. I think it's a lot more interesting when you throw in like different forms of Frieza, golden, second form, third form, even his first form, I feel like doesn't really get as much representation as it deserves. So I do think it's interesting, but Bandai does saturate the market quite a bit with final form Frieza whenever they do Frieza figures. So as a character choice, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. I think it's great that we're still getting non-Saiyan characters and then some as Solid Edge Works continues. Maybe you'll want to pose this Frieza alongside the Ginyu Force when they come out. That might be a really cool idea, but today I think it is a 4 out of 5 just because of the idea of oversaturating the market with this type of Frieza alongside, you know, the good side of it being, hey, it's our first Frieza in Solid Edge Works, and it's the second non-Saiyan character, so do like that a lot. But the likeness. Now, this is something that I think a lot of people talked about when this figure was first shown off, and the original photos, I think, were worse. They were a lot worse than what he looks like in person. Now, I don't think it's particularly bad. It's certainly not as detailed as Ichiban Kuji figures or anything like that. And he still kind of looks like Frieza in the face, but there's just something that seems a little off about it. I think like they maybe gave him too much room, like on his forehead, I guess. And maybe they didn't detail the basically his brow. They're not eyebrows, but like the section above his eyes enough to really make it look a little cohesive. From some angles, like I would say if you're looking at him from a downward angle, so if his chin is like facing you like this, then it looks pretty decent. And I would say even from the sides, his left and right, he looks pretty good. But when you're looking at him dead on, I think it's possibly like his head is too big or his face overall is too small. And there's something weird about his nose. It might be just like a little too big. but there are some good things about it. I like the way his eyes look. The paint is very pronounced on his face. So, you know, there's no like missing lines or anything, or things that weren't colored in all the way. Not that I can see. His smile is a little derpy, but yeah, I do think it's a little mixed overall on what his likeness looks like. It's not perfect. It's not terrible. So I'm going to go right down the middle and give it a 3 out of 5. You know, if you're going to display this figure, I'd maybe put him at a side profile really high up, because that's the best way he's going to look when you're looking at it. The sculpt quality is probably where I have the most issue with this figure. So as you saw, this figure comes whole. He comes completely whole. He has no support, and he basically uses his tail as his support. But while that may seem cool in concept, I think the reason that Bandai did this was to save money and not produce extra plastic for his support. And it came off kind of poor. The reason is this figure has pretty bad balancing issues. First of all, because his tail is a required support and it's going to one side, he leans. He absolutely leans, just like very early Solid Edge Works figures. And if you don't carefully place him down, or if the surface isn't like completely 100% flat, like flat earthers think the earth is, he will fall over. This Frieza falls over all of the time that I've had him, and it's very frustrating actually. So balancing is a big issue, and it's because like his tail is rounded on the bottom because it's his tail. It's not flat, so it doesn't really create a strong base for him to support on. Plus his tail sticks out past his feet a little bit, which causes his feet not to be able to be completely planted on the ground. So just not really well thought out there. Besides that though, I mentioned earlier, his head seems a little big. I mean, it is proportionate to his body, but I think because of his face, his head seems a little too big. His face should have just been maybe a little bit bigger, so could be a little bit more on the likeness side. I do like the details of his muscles. I like the texture of his body. That's all good, but because of that big issue, like foundationally with this figure, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 for the sculpt quality. It's not terrible. It's not the worst thing in the world, but that's very disappointing, and I know exactly why Bandai did this. So, you know, kind of a shame on you, Bandai. So yeah, just be cognizant of that. He will probably fall over all the time if you buy this figure. So make sure he's leaning against somebody on his left side, his left, not yours, his left side, so that he has someone to fall up against when he's falling over all of the time. Paint and shading is, you know, pretty standard fare with Solid Edge Works. There's no shading on this figure, not that I can tell. It kind of, it's sometimes my eyes play tricks on me and it looks like it, but it's just the natural lighting. The purple spots on his body, I feel like are a little too dark, if I'm being honest. I wish they were a little brighter. They in the light, probably in the video, it looks like they're blue, but they are purple when you see it in person. But yeah, I think they're a little too dark, is all. But yeah, it's not bad. There's no shading on the figure, but you know, proper colors for Frieza for the most part. So I think I'm going to give the paint and shading a 4 out of 5. And finally, size and scale, you know, same as always with Solid Edge Works. He's not going to scale well with any Ichiban Kuji figures. You know, I tried putting him next to, you know, Super Saiyan Goku or some other Gokus, and he just looks way too small next to them. Putting him next to other Solid Edge Works figures, he's fine. Maybe actually a little too big. But it's not the end of the world. Size and scale is okay at best. It's not the worst thing. He just does look kind of goofy compared to others. And overall, the figure, I don't know. It's in this weird place where I feel like it's too big for Solid Edge Works, but it's too small for like Ichiban Kuji, which some people try to do. You know, they'll get a Solid Edge Works and put it next to an Ichiban Kuji. So I think size and scale comes out to a 3 out of 5. But I actually walked away from this figure feeling pretty mixed. I felt really burned by the whole Sculpt thing. Them not providing a support for this figure is a big disappointment, and just foundationally, I think it was a huge mistake to try and use a rounded tail to support this thing, because he falls over all the time. He could have been a lot better if they just had fixed that. I would have probably ended up giving this, you know, closer to a 4 or 4.5 out of 5, but today I'm gonna have to give him a 3 out of 5. But until the next video, guys, I will see you all later.